All right, all right, all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being, American in YouTube Ronin, and I'd like to welcome you to Thank All That Is Holy, the 10 best movies of 2024. I'd like to thank everyone currently joining us on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Already in the chat, Faithful Blue Friends channel member, the Bird Woman of YouTube. Watch out for her second channel, Fluff Chick Productions. It's Connie Cleary. Venom Bite in the house. All right. Yesterday was the 10 worst. Now, we're going to go out with the good. Out with the bad, in with the good. And joining me once again today, my partner in crime, the toxic gunslinger himself, the man who cannot be killed, Outlaw Bill.
Hey, hello everybody. Oh, I got some good ones. They were few and far between, but we did have enough to make a best 10 of list.
Indeed. We not only have a best 10 list, we also have a few
honorable mentions.
And I know that you had a few that you wanted to bring up. So why don't you go ahead and kind of tell the people a few of the movies that didn't quite make the list.
One of them probably have to be The Bike Riders. I really enjoyed that one. I thought that one was pretty good. It had a good story. Kept me intrigued the whole movie, and it was a very good movie that just wasn't good enough to make the top 10. That one, and then there was this one I was curious about because your review on it and your thoughts on it. The best Christmas pageant ever. So I recently just watched it, even though it's like after Christmas. But I went and watched it, and it was a good, cute little film. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. So yeah, it's a Christmas one. Yeah.
Right on.
And it was a decent little film. Cute, as they may say, and it gets its message out pretty well. There is there's no politics in it. There's no agenda to it. It just gets to the point of what the message of the film tries to do, and it does it very, very well.
Yes, it did. Any others that come to mind for you? Because I know there was another one that you had brought up to me yesterday as being one that just missed your list. Nosferatu. You said you had seen that.
Yeah, Nosferatu was pretty good, but it was a little bit too much like the '93 Bram Stoker's Dracula. But I did like a whole lot of Arby Toots qualities of the new Nosferatu that came out at Christmas time. Oh yeah, that one was a decent film, good watch, entertaining, but just not great enough to make the best of 10. So,
all right. On to my honorable mentions. Now, well, before I do that, I do want to say hello to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights.
Hello,
Happy
Daniel
Sunday.
Berry.
And he's rooting for the Eagles.
Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. Venom Bite says, I thought about buying Bike Riders. Yeah. It's a pretty good one. So, yeah, please check that out. All right. So, let me preface my my list of honorable mentions, which are usually like my 20 to 11. But since this year my number 10 is actually a 3-way tie, and I'm going to explain why that happened. This is basically going to be like it's basically going to be like a 20 to 13. So all right, here we go. Number 20 is Oddity, and this was again a horror film. It was a great year for horror. There's definitely going to be a few coming up here on my list. Oddity is a story about this these twin sisters. One of them is murdered. The other sister dabbles in the occult, and she decides that she's going to solve the sister's murder. And she goes to her sister's home, where her husband, the sister's husband, is now living with his new girlfriend, and wackiness ensues. I really don't want to give anything more away from it than that, but it's on Shudder. Very well done film. Check it out. My next movie is actually another one that Myra brought to my attention, and it's a movie called The King Tide. And it's about this young girl who washes up on an island as a child, as an infant. She is taken in by Chase Crawford's character, is kind of the mayor of the island. And as she grows up, it turns out that she has healing powers. And so to protect her, they basically seal off the island. And again, a movie, I don't want to give too many of the details away, but she gets kind of found out by people outside of the island, and we're kind of off and running from there. And it becomes the reaction of the island of, are they going to protect the girl, or do they need to bring her abilities to the light? So the next movie after that is The Dead Don't Hurt, which is a movie that actually Bill and I saw on Western Cinema. This is a movie starring and directed by Viggo Mortensen, with Vicky Krieps. Danny Houston is in it. And it's basically this immigrant couple. They move out to the West. He decides to go off and fight in the Civil War. While he's gone, she is assaulted, we'll say, by the evil son of the sheriff, and has a child from this. Eventually, the husband comes back and decides he's going to take his revenge. Interesting film. It's kind of a Cormac McCarthy light kind of a story, but it's an interesting film. Not very many people saw it, but and thanks to Bill for deciding to put that film on. Next honorable mention, Transformers 1. And it's basically the origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, and how their rivalry came about, and very very fast paced. I like the animation. I like the story. I like the voice acting. Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Brian Tyree Henry, John Hamm's in it. Thought it was pretty well done. I know some people had issues with parts of it. I can see why they got there, but I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was bad. I had a lot of fun with it. Hello, Carlo Albanese, long time to see. Says, hi, hope everyone as well as can be. Simping in to say hello and enjoy before I have to go.
Hello, Carl Albanese, our friend from across the pond.
Yes, indeed. All right. My next honorable mention was also one of Bill's best Christmas pageant ever. A great adaptation of the Barbara Robinson story that I read as a child. There was a previous version of it that played on TV back in the 80s with Loretta Swit. This was again a pretty, it stuck to the story. It doesn't hit you over the head with agenda in any way. Just a good, solid family Christmas film that really you can watch any time of the year, to be honest.
Yeah,
not just for Christmas.
Yeah, I just watched it like a day ago, so
I had a lot of fun with it. And there's one plot point that's in the book and in the other version that's not in the film that I kind of wish was there. But I mean, other than that, I thought it was fine. Yeah. My next, and hello to Shadow of the Raven. Carlos says he enjoyed Sonic 3. I haven't seen any of the Sonic movies yet. I need to sit down and watch those. Yeah. My next honorable mention is Hugh Grant, Heretic. And even though it is it's a slow burn movie, there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of basically the story is you have these two girls who are Mormons. People like go to door to door, like they do, and well, they come to the wrong house. They come to the house of a certain Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, and he runs them through his little fun house. All the while making them question their beliefs, and that it works on this sort of intellectual level of intellectual religious level, and when the horror scenes do happen, Malcolm Reed, yeah. And when the when the horror stuff starts to happen, it that works too. Um, Sophie Thatcher is also in this, who is in the Companion that's out right now. Another movie I'm recommending. Um, Heretic. Hugh Grant should have been Oscar nominated. I'm sorry, he deserved it. He's really good here. Great villain. And hello to JPRPH1.
I'm assuming the Oscars are either this month or next month.
They're next month, early next month. Yeah. All right. My next honorable mention is a small movie. It's a very small, low budget movie called New Life. It's starts out as kind of starts out like The Fugitive, and it takes a very serious left turn into science fiction. And I've kind of been singing the praises of this movie, and I tried to fit it in my top 10, but ultimately I couldn't in the end. There are some people who may think I overhyped it, but I really dug the hell out of it. It's about this girl. It's about this woman who's played by Haley Aaron, who's on Young and the Restless, I think. And she is on the run. We don't find out why right away. Eventually, we do find out why. And she is being chased down by this fixer, this agent played by Sonya Walger, who's got her own issues and backstory as well. And again, this is a movie I really don't want to go into details. I don't want to give away, but you think it's going to be this simple story of this agent chasing down this fugitive, but then it kind of becomes about something else. So I'm still recommending it to anybody who hasn't seen it. I think it's on Amazon. Check it out. It's called New Life. And the last of my honorable mentions is a movie called My Old Ass, which was
seen that one.
A comedy.
That one would probably make my honorable mention as well. I did watch that one.
Yeah, and
I enjoyed that one a lot, actually.
Yeah, this is starring a new coming actress named Maisie Stella with Aubrey Plaza, and it's this young girl who's very much in a Gen Z state of mind, which I know is going to turn people off for the first 10 minutes of the movie. Watch it past the first 10 minutes, folks, because when her older self comes to her and basically tells her, you're kind of going down the wrong road in life with your attitude. And it's got a lot of charm to it. It has a lot of it's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life in a lot of ways. You have this in this case, this older version of yourself coming back to, kind of make you avoid the life mistakes you're about to make. And there's something that happens in this movie that I, again, don't want to give away. That almost brought a tear to my eye, to be honest. And I went into it thinking I am going to hate this movie because the trailer really misadvertised it and made it look like it was going to be, again, another one of those unfunny Gen Z comedies like I talked about on yesterday's show.
Mm-hmm.
but this one actually worked, and it was smart, and it was well made, and it's well acted, and it was a movie that was in my top 10 for quite a while, but unfortunately didn't in the end didn't quite make it in.
She's they're farming for cranberries.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was a cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a movie that made both our honorable mentions, my ass.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us move on now to our top tens, and Bill, you have a pretty interesting list. So let's get to
Yeah.
your top 10.
Mine's I guess would be a horror comedy slash rom com in a way. I guess what you would call it, if you put it in a genre kind of, it would be a dark comedy rom com. And this one's called Lisa Frankenstein.
Mhm.
I really love this movie. It's in the 80s, placed in the 80s, and of course it's got all the 80s nostalgia and the music, the 80s music. It's a big winner in my book, and it's a really great film.
Mhm.
I enjoy this on several watches. I've watched it several times. I don't know how many times yet, but let's say over five. It's a very enjoyable film, very cute,
Mhm.
rom com.
Mhm. Um, I got to see this one myself. It was a mystery movie night selection, and I don't want anybody thinking that I was giving the impression in my review that I hated the movie. I didn't. I rather liked it. I just had one or two quibbles about it. It did remind me very much of Heather's, so it had that going for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, a big reminder of others. And
I
the poster is like that poster is a for me it's a good seller. I mean I just
mhm,
love that the way the look of that poster.
yeah, and I like the fact that they made the stepsister the goody, you know,
Yeah,
because that's usually the character who's the bitch, and she's not, you know.
no, yeah,
She's actually the one character in the movie that probably has her stuff together the most, really.
yeah,
Um, and this was written by Diablo Cody, who wrote Juno, and it is the directorial debut of Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter. So
mm,
I'm curious to see what she does um, in the future. And this was a movie that came out around Valentine's Day
yeah,
of 24. And watch it for Valentine's this year. See what you think.
yeah.
It's pretty well done.
I might be
Yeah.
bold enough to just go ahead and play it. Have a
Mhm.
little rom com theater on in or around the date.
Right on. Okay. So yeah, 80s music plus indeed. Yeah.
Yes,
So
big on
Lisa,
80s music and 80s nostalgia. Can't go wrong.
right on. All right. Well, that brings us on over to uh, my number 10. Let me, and like I said, my number 10 is actually kind of a three-way tie. And I am someone who has been talking about being more in support of independent film. and as a kind of an antidote to what we've been getting out of Hollywood in recent years. And this year I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole of YouTubers who are going out and making their own films and coming to support those films, like Tom Conkle with Island in the Stars. There were some other movies made by YouTubers this year, and they are at my 12, 11, and 10. Critical Drinker's movie Rogue Elements would be one. Which was a film based on his Ryan Drake character. Chris Rupert's movie Transient, which, full disclosure, I am a credited associate producer on that film. But even if I wasn't, I would still recommend it. It's an outstanding film. Again, made on a very low budget. But the movie I kept going back to in my mind was my number 10, and that's Milk and Cereal. This is Curry Barker and Cooper Tomlinson, the That's a Bad Idea YouTube site. This is a horror film that they made for $800.
800 or 800,000?
$800.
What? What? $800?
$800. And
what?
It is.
That's a head turner, man.
It is.
That's unprecedented low budget. I mean, when you say 800, I automatically went to 800,000.
No. 800. And this
I think in terms of film. So you're saying 800. Of course, it's going to be 800,000 because. Wow! To hear that it's only 800. That was that's nothing short to next to amazing, because that's extremely low budget.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is it doesn't look like the budget was that low. It looks like they spent more money on it than they did. And that's one of the things that made me sit up and take notice. Now, the story is, it's about these YouTubers who have like this prank channel. And one of them, for his birthday, he's going to prank the other guy. But it kind of, it goes wrong, and it spirals out of control, and there's a bit of a body count. So we say, it is a horror movie. It is a found footage film. But it's very well written. It's very well acted. And Curry Barker, not only writing, directing, and starring in this film, man, my hat is off to you. Because this kid knows how to do creepy. He's probably one of my favorite villains of the year in any film. This is what I am talking about when I say on my channel, be the competition. And I am very curious to see what Curry Barker does next as a film. Because the kid's got some acting chops. He's got some directing chops. The script is pretty tight. There's no fat on this thing. I hope they released a longer version of it because I'm very curious to see the other footage. But man, this movie knocked my socks off when I saw it, and I've been singing its praises ever since. So please support these films, because this is where the future of Hollywood is. This is where the future of entertainment is. I don't want to say Hollywood, the future of entertainment. And it is us.
Independence.
Yeah. Milk and Cereal is my number 10.
Well, quite frankly, because mostly Hollywood has lost their way, and if they're I think if they don't get in their heads that you can't do political messaging and agenda, driven content. It's you're gonna stay woke, you're gonna stay broke.
Mm-hmm. Milk and Cereal, Transient, even Rogue Elements. There's no politics in any of these films. It's just they're just movies that are out to entertain.
Yeah.
All right. So Bill, your number
My
9.
number 9 is a horror film. I really liked this one. This one, some would say it's too graphic on its well, some I don't like this term. Some would call it a body horror film. I personally hate the term body horror. I just call it gore. But this film, in a violent nature, is my number 9 pick of best of 2024. I love this film from beginning to end. The aesthetic, and it took a couple watches to really see what was going on and like figure it out. But when I did, it's like, yeah, and it's what the title, In the Violent Nature. There's a lot of movie gore, which gives it that title, but it's done exceptionally well. I just really, really enjoyed this film. And not because I'm a crazy psychopath. I just I've always liked this genre, and it's just an overall great horror film, in my opinion.
Right on. Tried to fit this into my list. Couldn't quite get it there, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of this movie as well. I was happy with how it turned out. I know the ending might turn some people off. I disagree. I think the ending's the explanation for the whole thing. And just give the guy back his locket, man. That's all he wants. Just give him his locket and he'll go away. That's all. Yeah, this is a movie where it's basically Friday the 13th from the point of view of Jason. And you're following him as the lead. And it's pretty interesting. It's got some great original kills in it. Yoga Girl, I'm talking about you. Man, that's literally some twisted shit. It goes there.
By the way, I have a last minute change to my number 8.
Okay, so, let me know in the private chat now. Yeah. I'll switch it out for you. Okay. Yeah, I like this movie as well. I like the cameo at the end, who that actress turned out to be. Uh, and the final girl in this movie is also in Rogue Elements. The movie I brought up. So yeah, in a Violent Nature, it's actually a really good movie, folks. Check it out, please. All right. So on to my number 9. And every year there is a movie that I just can't get enough of, that never gets old, and that I buy the second it comes out on disc. That's just this purely fun, unapologetically what it is. And like Sisu last year, something like that. This year, The Beekeeper.
Oh.
I
Jason,
that
one higher up on my list.
You do. And Jason Statham redeemed after Meg 2.
Oh God, that could be an honorable mention for the worst of 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Meg 2 was on your 10 worst of 23, and was in my honorable mentions, but dishonorable mentions, I mean. But yeah, The Beekeeper, a much better movie. And I know there were some people who didn't like it because they say he kind of comes off a little invincible in this. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what we came to see.
Yeah.
And
it's why we pay to go see those type of movies.
We want to see him kick ass and take names and fight this army of guys and come out victorious, and then having this extra added benefit of the twist that we get in the film. And we'll discuss it more when it's on, when we get to Bill's side of it, because Bill does have this on his list and it's higher. But I'll save the rest of my comments for that point in the show. But The Beekeeper is my number 9. All right. So, like I said, last minute change. So let me grab up this other graphic here real quick. So, Bill, why don't you go into your new number 8?
My number 8. I totally spaced this movie, but it's like, yeah, this needs to be on my list. Terrifier 3. Third in the trilogy. It came out in October. Even though it's a Christmas-themed horror film, I love it's got everything a horror and gore fan loves. And then if you like Art the Clown, this one's for you. And it gives no shits about what it does and what it's doing. And it has the returning last girl from the second film,
Mhm.
and well, Art the Clown goes on terrorizing her and her brother. I highly recommend if you get a chance to see this. Um, I think it's free to watch. Might be free to watch on Fandango at home.
Hmm.
Uh, it might also be on Shutter. Uh, but I definitely highly recommend the Terrifier 3.
All right. I only saw the first 10 minutes out of this movie. So,
Well, there's a scene with a chainsaw in a bathroom, and oh
yeah, I've
boy,
heard. Yeah.
that one's that one is pleasurable to the gore fans or body horror fans, whatever. I don't like calling it that. It's just gore to me,
Well,
and great horror. You know,
since we're on that subject, you've brought it up here. I wouldn't necessarily consider the Terrifier movies or in a violent nature body horror. I consider them slasher films.
yeah, they are slasher films.
You know,
They're great
you know,
slasher films. When you want a slasher film, these are the films you see. You know,
you
they
know.
have no politics, no hidden
No,
agendas. It's just straight up slasher excellence.
you know, body horror to me would be something more along the lines of like The Substance or, you know, David Cronenberg's movies, Society, the Brian Usna film, which The Substance owes a lot to. I would consider those more of a body horror. These are slashers for sure. But yeah, all right, near number 8, Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
Going on now. Let me get the graphic up. And my number 8 is Bill's number 7. So no time like the present to discuss it.
Yeah.
This was an action film that came out at the beginning of the year. And I knew absolutely nothing about going in. I hadn't seen a trailer, had never even heard of this movie. And it was I think like the second mystery movie night of the year. And this is from the director of Underwater, William Eubank. And my number 8 and Bill's number 7, Land of Bad.
Land of Bad. Great action film.
Mm-hmm. This is about a Delta Force team out on a mission to grab up this drug lord who has a CIA man hostage. And so it's basically an extraction. Find a CIA man and capture, or if need be, take out the drug lord. Then this basically this terrorist shows up, kills the drug lord, takes over his compound, and now everything has changed.
Yeah,
and
it's a whole new ball game.
It's a whole new ball game, and the Delta team is discovered. and now it's kind of they are on the run, and
They're highly outnumbered. Because these special forces teams are a small
yeah.
group of men,
Mhm.
and they end up being way outnumbered and having to fight their way out.
So Liam Hemsworth's character, and this is the best Liam Hemsworth performance I've seen out of him in anything. He needs to do more movies like this and not Hunger Games.
Exceptional.
Yeah, he's very good here, and he gets separated from the rest of the group, and that's where Russell Crowe's character comes in, and he is a drone operator who's in Nellis Air Force Base, and he is talking Liam Hemsworth through how he can get to the extraction point and extricate himself out of this situation. And it's a really tense, edge of your seat, old school action film like we used to see. And this was a real pleasant surprise for me when I saw it back in I think it was January or February when it was in theaters. So not very many people saw it in theaters, unfortunately. They made it to this is a movie that kind of did better on video and streaming. I would say seek this movie out and give it a watch because it's a really good one.
I think it might be on Netflix.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. Very good film, yeah.
Yeah, Bill, any other words for Land of Bad?
Oh, no, it's just stellar action. It's one of those ones that really gets to you, and then it from beginning to end, it's action packed, and if you like action, and this one's you can't go wrong with it. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, it is. I thought it was on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
That might have been where I seen it. But yeah, great film.
Shadow of the Raven says, "May check it out." Please do. It's a very good film.
Yeah, it's a very good film. Yeah, and as we said, it is my number 7 film, number 7 on the list. So we can already cross that off.
All right. So, right, that was my number 8. Bill's number 7.
Yeah.
So, on very quickly to my number 7. This is based on a true story, which, like I said, we've heard based on a true story a number of times from Hollywood, and turned out that, they're kind of making a lot of stuff up. This is a movie that doesn't make a lot of stuff up. Now, that movie is September 5. And this is the story of the 1972 Munich Olympic Games, where the Israeli team was taken hostage, and the ABC Sports team find themselves ringside for this, and they're there to cover a sporting event, and this real life, international incident takes place, and it becomes a matter of, what is our responsibility here? What is the moral thing to do? And they decide they're going to, not acquiesce to the news department. They're going to, since they are there, they are going to, because this is literally, a hostage situation literally taking place across the street from where they are. So they could get cameras on it. They could get eyes on it. And it's an interesting film. And it's not a lot of action. It's very subtle. They keep it to 90 minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's an interesting film. It's very well acted. It's well written. It's pretty fast paced. If you're a fan of like directors like Paul Greengrass, movies like Bloody Sunday or United 93, you might like this because it's definitely in that vein. It's a straight up docudrama. John Magaro pretty much steals the movie, playing a guy named Jeffrey Mason, who kind of winds up taking charge during the course of things. Peter Sarsgaard is Rune Arledge. Ben Chaplin is in it. He's barely recognizable. I don't know if they put makeup on him to look like the real life guy he's playing, or if he just got older. I don't know, but this is a pretty good film, man. Check it out. It's especially for people who know nothing of this incident. And I ran into a surprising number of people who didn't know this had happened. My father was in my father.
Bana.
Huh?
Eric Bana did that previous film about the same subject matter.
Oh yeah, there's actually been a couple. There was Munich with Eric Bana that Steven Spielberg directed. There was a movie called Sword of Gideon that was on HBO in the 80s that had to do with this as well. That was kind of the aftermath of this. But yeah, as a historical document, something that there's something that I realized after watching this movie is that the younger generations are not taught. They're not taught history. They're taught everything that happened after 2016. I had to explain this to people.
Wow.
To a frightening amount of people. So that's why this movie is on my list, why I kept it on my list. And it's a movie that needs to be seen. And it's not getting the attention it deserves. So September 5, that is, that's my pick.
All right.
So, Bill, your number 6.
Number 6. My number 6 is yet another horror film. It really was a great year for horror.
It was.
movies.
Yeah.
My number 6, and maybe it should be higher on the list, but it sits right at number 6. Late Night with the Devil. Oh, I really, really like this one. This film is. It could be my number 1, but yeah, it's really, really good horror film, storyline, everything about it is great. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I mean, I'm still trying to think. Was there anything that I didn't like? Nothing comes to mind right now. There's nothing that I didn't like about this film. It's, takes place in the 70s, and he's a late night host and struggling with ratings and dwindling TV show, late night show. And you have a cool story line embedded into the story. Spectacular horror film that could be at the top of my list, but ends up with number 6 because I didn't give all my best of to horror films. There's some other action films and / comedies that are on this list. That is my number 6 overall pick, best film of 2024.
All right, cool.
Is it probably higher on your list?
Yeah, we will be seeing it again. Yeah. Okay. My number 6 was a movie that made Bill's honorable mentions. This was another mystery movie night. And that's The Bike Riders. And this is a movie that not enough people saw.
Yeah.
The director of this movie is named Jeff Nichols, and I first became aware of him through a movie called Shotgun Stories, probably about 15 or so years ago. And I've been kind of a fan of his ever since. He makes some pretty interesting films. And this movie is kind of like Goodfellas on motorcycles. And this is kind of the latter days of the motorcycle clubs before the criminal element started to take over. And it really is a snapshot of this time in history. And it is based on a book. And the movie takes a pretty interesting tack in the fact that it is the guy who wrote the book as a character in the movie. He's played by Mike Feist, who's also in Challengers, and he was Riff in the West Side Story remake. But the movie itself centers on this the friendship between Tom Hardy and Austin Butler, who are the two guys who basically start this particular motorcycle club, the Vandals. And again, this was a movie that really almost got shot down by its trailer, because I'm like, why is Tom Hardy trying to sound like Brando and all this, and but then you realize very early in the movie the whole reason he comes up with the idea of creating the motorcycle club is because he watches The Wild One on television, which was a Marlon Brando film. So he's kind of patterning himself after the character, that's why he is kind of acting the way that he is, and has this, for the lack of a better term, moral code that he does, is because he's emulating the movies he's seeing, which is an interesting. And then you have the whole romance that develops between Austin Butler and Jodie Comer. And it's really kind of her interviews with Mike Feist's character. She's kind of, recounting these events. And you see things go from, hey, we're just a bunch of guys who are having fun hanging out on the weekends. And then, again, you see this criminal element start to seep in. And these guys who don't have the rules, that don't have the moral code that Tom Hardy's character tries to maintain. It's really an interesting film. Like I said, it's kind of like Goodfellas on motorcycles. but I think kind of just putting it that way is kind of short shrifting it a little bit. Just check this movie out. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's fast paced. They keep it to 2 hours, and it was a movie that actually was number one um, with me for quite a bit. But yeah, it stayed on my list. Nothing can kill this movie.
And yes, it is, Rusty. It is available to watch for free on if you have Prime Video.
Yeah. But I'm a big physical media guy. It's on Blu-ray and 4K, so please check it out that way as well. All right. Well, we are at our
halfway point.
At our halfway point, and I usually take the halfway point to discuss the movie I refer to as the worst of the best. And I was really kind of, yesterday I had my best of the worst, which was Gladiator 2, which I decided that, after the CGI baboons, okay, I'm watching an asylum film here. So I'm just going to sit back, eat my fucking popcorn, and just have a blast with it, and just see where this lark goes, So this is kind of going the other way. And I was back and forth on what that movie was going to be for me. And in the end, I went with The Substance. I bumped it up a couple of notches, and I still have my issues with the movie, particularly the ending. But up to that, this is, like I said, this is a movie that is a true body horror film. But I decided, if I had a chance, I'd see it again.
What's it called? Substance?
The Substance. This is with Demi Moore, Dennis Quaid, and Margaret Qualley, and it's about it's Demi Moore is playing this aging actress. She gets basically fired from her TV show because they want somebody younger, and so she after she gets into a car accident and she meets this male nurse who basically tells her about this, that she would be a really good candidate for the substance. And she goes to this kind of shady, out in the middle of nowhere building where she can pick up the substance, and she takes it, and this younger version of herself, she kind of basically gives birth to this younger version of herself, and she can be the young person for 1 week and herself for the next. And what it's really about is how this woman lets her own vanity destroy her. It's really kind of a modern day picture of Dorian Gray, really. And it's like I said, I have trouble with the ending, but I don't hate the movie. I think it's still very much worth a watch. And I think, and the fact that the Oscars, say what you want about them, the fact that they actually acknowledged a horror movie for Best Picture is kind of saying something. I question whether or not it should be on the list, but hey, I think it's still worth seeing. And my hat's off to the Academy for recognizing a horror film. So my worst of the best, The Substance. All right. So let us... Uh-oh. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh.
I will have the graphic moment. It's... Technology is not agreeing with me at the moment.
Are we doing my number 5 or your number?
We are doing your number 5.
My number 5. Okay.
Mhm.
My number 5 is Boy Kills World. We did this on our Action Theater.
We did.
And it was well received.
It was.
Bill Skarsgård. It's Bill Skarsgård plays the main character who's a mute, and he hears himself as a narrator from a video game. I think it was like Taken or not Taken. Mortal Kombat. Player 1.
Yeah.
Round 1. Yes. This movie does play out a lot like a video game. It's an action-packed comedy. Yes, action-packed, I would say, dark comedy, but from beginning to end, it's pretty action's well done, and the dialogue in the film is also exceptionally well. Has those peak time comedic moments, and doesn't have a long runtime, so it stays. So you pay attention to it, so you know.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my number 5 overall pick of best films for 2024.
Yeah. Didn't make my list, but I did like it. It's definitely one of the best. It was definitely one of the most watched Action Theater episodes we've done, at least since I've been on the show anyway. So I like the response that we got to this. Excellent. Yeah, it's a fun movie. And I like that. I like that H. John Benjamin voiceover, you know, and and he's a deaf mute, but he can read lips, but he has that Isaiah Mustafa's character, and he just does not understand no matter what, you know. You know, and he's telling him, well, you know, cover us right here, but he's hearing, you know, lunchbox, ashtray, you know. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, what are you saying? You know, it's fun. I like the direction it goes in. I like the twist that it takes at the end. But this was a, you know, a fun, unapologetic, you know, and if you like movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, I think you're going to like this. So yeah, Boy Kills World, Bill's number 5. All right, so let's see. Let's get myself over here back to my lists for my number 5. Which was, of course, Bill's number 6. Late Night with the Devil.
Right on.
A movie I finally had the chance to see it in theaters, basically on the final showing of the last day of my local Regal showing this movie. I finally got a chance to see it.
Nice.
And because I wanted to see this on the big screen so bad, I wanted to support this movie. So I like what was behind it. David Dastmalchian finally getting to play the lead in a film, and he knocks it out of the park, playing Jack Delroy, who is a late night talk show host, and he's kind of constant. He has his own following, but he's constantly being beaten into ratings by Johnny Carson. So he kind of devises this exorcism for his Halloween show, and he winds up getting more than he bargained for.
Yeah,
And
I'll
I
say.
guess I guess the movie that this would most resemble would be Ghostwatch. I don't know if you ever saw Ghostwatch, Bill, but there's
No.
it's got some in common with it. Um, I do prefer this movie over, but I the fact that this movie has the balls to say that Bohemian Grove is a real thing. And I love that Michael Ironside opening narration. Not very many people know it's him, but that I like that it's Michael Ironside doing
And
the
the horror film is making the
yeah,
list. Like we said,
again,
what a
yeah,
great year for horror films this year was.
yeah,
Uh,
and the fact that this movie really gives Hollywood the middle finger too.
Not only that, I think wasn't it a January film? It came out in early January of
it
last
was it
year,
was it was an early film, yeah.
which most films that come out in January are god awful. I mean, there's usually no good film that comes out in January, and here you have Late Night with the Devil, and it was nothing short of spectacular, great film, great story.
Oh yeah. And I know that there were a lot of people who tried to hack on this movie for using AI. The only place in the movie where they use AI is the channel logo. That was it. Everything else was, you know, practical, done in camera. Yeah, there's a couple of bits of CGI here and there, but really, yeah, it's not a problem. I love the hell out of this movie. It deserves to be on the top 10 lists. Yeah, yeah, it does touch on Bohemian Grove. It does, yeah. Um, this guy makes a literal deal with the devil, and it comes back to bite him in the end. It's an interesting film, and I dug the hell out of it, and it's my number 5.
All right,
All right, so Bill, we are on to your
number
number 4.
4. This one is a heartfelt story of camaraderie and if you like animals, this one's called Arthur the King.
Mhm.
You know, um, you have Mark Wahlberg's character who organizes this wilderness exploration team. It's just biking, it's running, it's hiking, and along the way, they meet this dog who saves one of their team members' lives, and it it stopped. It's not just about the team. The dog becomes part of the team, and the dog also becomes part of Mark Wahlberg's character and his family, and it's just so much inspiration, uh, you know, in this film. It's just all around great storyline, well acted, shots are exceptional in the um, scape of it, and yeah, I just love this film, this Arthur the King.
Yeah. This was another mystery movie night, which is how I was able to see it,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's a solid movie. It's It's not on my list, but it's definitely one that I would recommend. You know, it hung around in my like top 25 for the year, you know, quite a bit. But you know, it's definitely one that I would put into recommend
Yeah,
column.
Nina
Um,
and I went to go see this together,
yeah,
and we were very, very impressed, and we enjoyed it from beginning to end. You know, it's such a heartwarming
yeah,
story, and story of caram- what's the word, camaraderie and loyalty to teammates and just people, in general.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah, great story, great film.
yeah, and based on fact as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, you had the true life people involved with making the film. So yeah, Arthur the
yeah.
King. Um, Bill's number 4.
Yep.
All right. So on now to my next selection. And this is another one that came out very early on in the year and was another mystery movie night selection. And a movie that I thought deserved more play. And I was happy when Critical Drinker brought this up at his end of the year video. And this is a movie called One Life with Anthony Hopkins. And again, a true life story. He plays Sir Nicholas Winton. And during World War II, he basically saved a number of children. He was part of a group that went into you know, Nazi occupied areas and rescued children from the Nazis. And his part in it went kind of unsung for several years, for kind of many years, really, until um, a number of the kids, now adults, tracked him down, and they wind up on this. He gets invited onto this television talk show. Not quite sure why, you know, and then find out that, you know, the audience are these kids,
Descendants,
and it
descendants of the
either
city.
are the kids or are descendants from the kids. And it's a really uplifting, hopeful story, and we didn't see a lot of those. We certainly
Yeah.
don't get those kind of, again, we don't get those kind of movies out of Hollywood. It's a lot of
No.
doom and gloom, and America sucks, and you know, this is a movie where this was about hope, and it was about, you know, standing up for what was right and doing the right thing in, you know, under these kind of very trying circumstances. And this guy is very unassuming, you know, and he's kind of a haunted guy too, because you know, he didn't save all the kids. He got most of them. There's a few that didn't survive, and he sees himself as a failure for that, not realizing, you know, you did what you did do under the circumstances that you did, and he finally comes to terms with that in the end, and it's very, very uplifting. Again, very, very subtle, very quiet film. You know, it's an hour and a half. Again, doesn't waste, you know, doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's a great, another great Anthony Hopkins performance. And Helena Bonham Carter playing his mother in the World War II scenes. And Johnny Flynn, he's an actor I'm not really familiar with, who plays the younger Anthony Hopkins here. They're all very good. And this is a movie that should have gotten a lot more love at awards time. But, you know, it's my number 4, and it's a movie well worth tracking down and seeing. Came out way back in January. And again, another January movie that didn't suck. You know.
Oh wow, yeah. Amazing. Yeah. January gets bad rep for bad movies.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that leads us to my number 3 pick, best for 2024. And I really didn't see this until late, like the fourth quarter of the year. And it came out much, much earlier. This one is The Fall Guy. I was really, really impressed. I went into viewing The Fall Guy as this is gonna suck. This is a TV show that got made into a movie, and how can they make it good? You know, and I like Ryan Gosling, but I was so impressed on how good this film really is. You know, and what they really play homage to the actual stunt people who are out there who make the movie stars look so damn good, you know, and it has a really, really great storyline. This is an action-packed comedy film, fictional, but it's not. It takes the principles from the 80s TV show, and they're implemented in today's world, but it does it exceptionally well. This is a very fun, entertaining film. I highly recommend it because I expecting it to be a dud, and I was pleasantly surprised when I was a jaw dropper. I dropped my jaw and said, "Wow, that's a really good, fun movie. This movie is great." I don't know. I don't know what type of review. I don't remember the reviews that it got, but yeah, it's a really great, fun, action-packed, fun comedy film that tells a good story and plays homage to the real people behind the scenes who perform the stunts. Great movie, great fun movie. I highly recommend The Fall Guy, and that's my number 3 overall pick for 2024.
Didn't like this as much as you did, and I understand that I'm kind of in the minority with this one. But there were things to like. I did like the leads. I did like that it pays homage to the stuntmen who are very unsung. My main issue was I figured out where they were going with the story very early. And that kind of took me out of it. But, you know,
yeah, I didn't let that bother me. That's what
more people liked this movie than disliked it, and I'm a fan of any movie that can, you know, that appeals to
speaks
to your general
audience.
moviegoers. So you know, okay, maybe I just need to see it again. Who knows? But yeah, all right. So The Fall Guy, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Honestly, I do. And like I said, more people liked it than disliked it. So
I expected to hate it. I really went in with the mindset that I'm going to hate this film. This is going to suck because you know it's titled after a great 80s TV show, And I go, my mindset was, how the heck did they can make this good? And they impressed the hell out of me when I did see it.
Connie said, not impressed with the show. Granted, it did pay homage to the stunt people. Yeah. And I also do want to say take care to Shadow of the Raven had to go.
Take
So
care.
you'll be watching the rest later. Okay. All right. Any more thoughts on the Fall Guy?
I highly recommend. Good film. Good fun film to watch. I believe it's also on Prime. Maybe also on Netflix.
All right. The Fall Guy. Bill's number 3. All right. Next on my list, my number 3, and my number 3 is going to be a little controversial, because I know that there were people who had a lot of issue with its ending, and no, you're not entirely wrong. But I still felt that this movie was well made, very watchable. I watched it twice in 2 days, and it's Conclave. And the beginning of the film, the Pope dies, and Ralph Fiennes' character, Father Lawrence, is made the head of the conclave. They have to bring all of these cardinals in, and they're going to vote in the next pope.
Okay.
And in the course of doing that, he uncovers a number of mysteries, and there's all of this political machination, backstabbing, and all of these things going on. So in telling the story of this election of this pope, they're kind of telling the story about elections, period, really. Now, I do understand that a lot of Catholics had issue with the twist at the end. And I understand the upset. And I have a friend who is Catholic, and I watched this movie with him. On my second viewing, I watched it with him because I wanted his opinion. And I said, well, is the ending just 2024 politics seeping into the movie? He looked at it as there was all of this mystery, all of this innuendo and backstabbing, and all of these cover-ups that were happening. And this was just one more thing that had to be covered up. And I thought that was what made it interesting. I looked at this more as a mystery. You have this cardinal who has this past relationship with this woman that comes up. You have, the revelation that the Pope was no longer trusting his inner circle for various reasons. You have, the guy you have the cardinal who's paying other cardinals to vote for him. There's all of and then you have the big twist at the end, which I'm not going to give away, but I looked at it more as I looked at it as it's more of a mystery film. And yeah, it's political, but it's a movie that is essentially about political corruption, you know, and all that entails. Um, again, this was a movie of a kind that Hollywood does not make anymore. It's it's watchable. They keep it to 2 hours. It's fast paced. You also have the element that I didn't bring up, which is the fact that you have uh, terrorists who are doing these bombings, in around and by the end eventually inside the Vatican. So you have that angle. It's a movie that held my interest in a way that most movies don't do anymore. And like I said, look, I understand there are people who watch this movie and think that it's anti-Catholic. And if you feel that way, I am not going to take you. I'm not going to try and talk you out of that. And this movie is based on a book, and I looked into it and I found out that the ending of the movie is the same as the ending of the book, but the book was written in 2016. So you got to take that into account, that yeah, there could be a political element, present day politics being an element in this film. But I felt it really doesn't do that until the last 10 minutes. And if you're even half-ass involved with the movie, it is set up. That final twist is set up from very early on. It's a very well-written, well-acted film, and you really do feel like you're a fly on the wall in the Vatican as all of this is going on. And I was fascinated by it. I understand the issue, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. And I was back and forth on it. And, I came to the decision that there was more about it than I liked that I didn't like. And despite the controversy, and hey, if I lose any subscribers over saying I like the movie, then so be it. My channel's not an echo chamber. I understand the issues with the ending, but I felt the rest of the movie was entertaining enough that I couldn't deny how much I did enjoy it. So Conclave is my number 3.
All right. Wow, we're down to the last two.
Your last
two.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 overall film for 2024 is Jason Statham in The Beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoyed this film. Action packed. It stars Jason Statham. I'm sorry, did I say? If I said Bateman, I'm sorry for making that mistake.
Statham.
Yes, Jason Statham. Yes, this film's spectacular. You have Miss Sextable who as a cameo. Remember her from the Cosby Show? We won't talk about that Cosby fella, but yeah, she's in this, and she has a small part. And when she gets hosed by some scammers, send in the beekeeper to kick ass and take names. Given that, as we were discussing earlier, that invincible quality, but he does. He really gives it to the scammers and the people who do the bad things.
Mhm.
Very, very impressed with this film. Like I say, action packed from beginning to end. And it's I think 1 hour 47-minute runtime. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very kick-ass film. Very good. Very well written. Very well acted. Very everything about this film was just spectacular. And that's where it makes my number 2 film, and it's an action film.
Mhm. And the fact that they had the balls to make this Hunter Biden type character the villain,
Yeah,
I had
played
a
by
lot of
Josh
fun with that.
Hutcherson from you might remember him from the Hunger Games
Yeah.
and other movies. To see him playing the villain is, I was like, wow! It's like he's playing the villain.
Hmm.
He plays a great villain, by the way.
He does. He does.
Josh
You love
Hutcherson
to
plays
hate him. Yeah.
the perfect a-hole. Favorite one you're rooting for. Oh, I can't wait to see this guy get killed, or you know how he gets done in. You know,
Much punch face.
yep.
There you go. Yeah, The Beekeeper. I had a lot of fun with this movie, as I said earlier. It made my list. Every year, there's a movie like The Beekeeper or like Sisu that I just sit down and can't get enough of when I see it. So, yeah, and that was The Beekeeper for me this year. So,
Yep.
yeah. All right. So, my number 9, Bill's number 2, The Beekeeper. All right. That takes it down to my number 2. And this is one that where Bill and I are going to disagree, because this was a movie that was on his worst list,
Yeah.
but it made my best. And that's Better Man. Now, I, obviously being from the US, I'm not really familiar with Robbie Williams. I know who he is, but that's pretty much it. I didn't know his backstory until watching this film. And it is a warts and all depiction of him from childhood up to present day. You get the good with the bad. You know, you get this this sudden rise to fame. You get the fall and all of the romance and the drug addiction and kind of everything that can go wrong, having all of these yes men surrounding him, him pushing away everybody in his life who was good for these sycophants who are yes men. But what really saved it from being this standard musical biopic was that plot device of him as the ape, and it's explained very early on. This is the way he looks at himself. This is the way he sees himself through his kind of self-deprecation. And what really got to me watching this film was how they depict his depression, which grows to the point of near self-deletion, because he's seen all of these different versions of himself through his life, right? And speaking as someone who has had to deal with that, with me, it doesn't physically manifest itself as it does here, but with me, you do have those voices in your head sometimes telling you to do harm to yourself, and I just choose not to listen to them, but they're there. And the depiction of his depression and how he gets past that and how he reconnects with these people in his life, to me, it was a very interesting take on a movie that quite frankly has been done before, but it was done in this original way that kept me interested, made me this kind of Pink Floyd The Wall, kind of walk through this guy's mind, as he's slowly going, insane through his depression and drug abuse, and how he winds up beating that and going, coming out on the other side of it. And I was very surprised by it. This was a movie that, again, I went into it. This was another mystery movie night, and we got it wrong that week. We were not expecting this movie, but man, I really dug it. I got into it. The visual effects are fantastic. I'm glad they got nominated for an Oscar. I hope it wins. And again, I know, Bill, you didn't like it. There were a lot of people that didn't. This was a movie that really deserved better than it got. And I hope that it finds an audience on video and on streaming, because I think it really deserves a second chance.
I might have to give it a second look.
It's my number 2. I stand by it. I love this movie. I was surprised by how good it was. And, okay. Better Man is my number 2.
Right.
I related more to Robbie Williams than I thought I was going to. And that was the saving grace of the film. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. The visuals are fantastic. It's a good story. And yeah, it deserves a second chance.
Okay. Down to number 1. My number 1. This is it. Here it comes. Number 1. Drum roll. Okay, no drum roll. All right. No, this is my favorite film of 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine. This, which Nina didn't like, by the way. She hated it. Deadpool and Wolverine. It's got it hits all the comic beats in it. It's action packed. It's Ryan Reynolds being the best Deadpool ever, and it's Hugh Jackman being his best Wolverine ever, and it's just spectacular. The comedy works well. It's not a very long action film. Does not waste any time. Action packed and humorous from beginning to end. I can't get enough of how good Deadpool and Wolverine is. This is another one I saw late, like maybe couple months after it hit the theaters. I didn't get to see this one in the theater. I really didn't get to see very much in the theater, just because I don't know if there were lack of good films to see or my ability to go out to the theater to see films. But Yeah, I this is one I did not um, actually go see in the theater, and I wish I did. I wish I would have seen it on that big screen, multi sound cinemas. So, yes.
To Late Night with the Devil, second behind Deadpool and Wolverine. I think Deadpool and Wolverine was Sin's number one too, if I remember correct. Um,
Nice, nice.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
everybody in the chat, let us please don't hold back. Let us know what your favorite
Yes.
movies of the year were.
Yes.
Uh,
Deadpool is my overall best picture, best top number one, numero uno, fun action packed film of 2024. It's good. It's funny. It's entertaining. It gives no shits about what it's trying to do or what's going on. It's great. It's spectacular. Uh, and that's all I have to say about Deadpool, my number one choice for 2024.
okay. Drum roll, please. My number one movie of 2024. And again, I wanted to pick a movie that was hopeful. And it's a hopeful movie that takes place in a hopeless place. And my number one is Sing Sing. And this is,
Sing
again, a true
Sing?
story. Sing
Never
Sing.
heard of it.
It's a true story. It is about it's about this
Looks like they're in prison.
they are in prison. They're in Sing Sing. Yeah. And there is a group of prisoners who have gotten involved in this program, rehabilitation through the arts, where they put on plays, of which Coleman Domingo's character, John Whitfield, goes by Divine G. He basically he writes the plays, and this group of prisoners puts them on. And again, it's kind of to give these people hope, to, like they said, rehabilitation through the arts. And there's a prisoner played by Clarence Macklin, who also kind of basically playing himself, who kind of comes in and drops a hand grenade into the middle of this kind of very close-knit group, and he comes up with he wants to make things a little bit different, where G decides that he wants to put on this one play, but everybody else is like, it's kind of dark. We don't really want to do it. We want to do something else. And then that's when Clarence pipes up with, he wants to do a comedy. And that's basically what happens. And over the course of this, we get to learn a little bit about the characters. We find out Divine G is not guilty of the crime that he's in for. So he's trying to get paroled and prove his innocence, so that you have that storyline going. You have, when he hits this real low point because he doesn't get paroled. His best friend in the group, it's not really a spoiler, it happens early in the film, dies. And so he hits this real low patch, and it's up to Clarence to kind of step up and kind of lead this group. And it's a, like I said, it's a movie about hope in a hopeless place. And this was again, we had a great year for mystery movie nights. This was another mystery movie night selection, and I'm glad that this movie at least got some recognition when it came to award season. Should have gotten more. I would pick this over Emilia Perez any day. This is one of the movies I've been recommending to everybody who's been asking me if there's anything out there worth seeing. This is a movie worth seeing. And it's not this grim, dark, oh, woe is me. It's about hope, and it is about these guys trying to better themselves, and that's what prison is supposed to be, rehabilitation. And this is a movie about that. And it's about love of the arts, and and in the end, it's about brotherhood. And it's an excellent film. Everybody should see it, and it's my number one. Nothing knocked this movie down. And I didn't see everything this year. I didn't see Anora. I didn't see The Wild Robot. I didn't see A Complete Unknown. In a lot of these movies that have been getting all the buzz. And it was these smaller movies, that fell through the cracks that I found, and I think they're better than anything you're going to see. So that's my number one.
Cool.
In the end, it was, like we said yesterday, it was a so-so year, but we found some good movies in there. All right, folks. So that's it. We're putting 2024 to bed and on to 2025. Yeah. Is there anything that you're looking forward to this year, Bill?
I don't know, because I don't know what's coming out.
Well, I have an anticipated list up right now that you can find on my channel. A few movies that I'm looking forward to. We have the next Mission Impossible.
Are we actually going to get it this year, though? That's the question.
We're hopefully.
There is one that I became recently aware of. Happy Gilmore 2, which is set to come out on Netflix in July or August.
We have 28 Years Later coming out. We have the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, and we have a movie called Warfare from Alex Garland that looks interesting. That stars that's written and directed by real life soldiers. We got Jason Statham's next movie, A Working Man, that looks really good. And
if there's a Guy Ritchie film coming out, I'll be looking forward to it.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So, folks, that's it. That is our 10 best of 2024. Bill, why don't you tell the people where you are going to be this evening?
Coming up here in a couple hours, Super Bowl. The Super Bowl 59 in 93 minutes. 93 minutes from now, Super Bowl 59, the Eagles versus the Chiefs on the Ocho, the Outlaw Bill Sports Network. where I and my co-host Admiral Teague and the Padawannabe will be doing your play-by-play ringside uh, announcement. So we're going to see if it's going to be an entertaining bowl that maybe, or is it going to be a boring game? We'll find out in 93 minutes. Eagles versus the Chiefs. Chiefs trying to three-peat. The Eagles trying to get revenge from 2 years ago and deny the Chiefs from a three-peat. So Eagles fly, Eagles. And on the Outlaw Bill Sports Network, play-by-play commentary, play action coming at you. Only on the Ocho, the Outlaw Bill Sports Network.
All right. And later on tonight at 10 p.m., special 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be joining Aged Boomer for a special edition of Geeky Geezers, where I'm subbing for Troy Pacelli tonight, as he is still at MegaCon. And so after the game, go over to Aged Boomer's channel and join us there for the show. No unscripted this week. That will return next week with episode 99. And reserved seats will also be returning next week, where Boomer is going to be my guest. So join us there. And of course, catch us usually at this time, where we're doing Western cinema. So that will return soon as well. And of course, join us later on this week, Thursday at 3:30, for Action Theater. And we are going to be watching Real Genius from 1985 with Val Kilmer. Yeah. All right. So any last words before we close it out, Bill?
As always, be excellent to one another. Party on. Join me for some play-by-play sports action. Super Bowl 59 on the Ocho, the Outlaw Bill Sports Network. Party on, dudes.
Party on, indeed. Follow Bill over to the big game. And as I always say at the end of every show, thank you all very much for being here. Everybody who is here with us in the live chat. Everyone currently watching us on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. And don't forget to hit the like, share out the stream, subscribe to Bill's channel and mine if you are new to our channels. Let us know in the comments what your favorite movies of the year were, or what movies you are looking forward to this year. Yes, in the comments. And from HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, including our second home office there in Arizona with Bill, good night, take care, stay strong, be safe and healthy, enjoy the big game, because this is how we win. Now, I'm going to roll some footage from the real best movie of the year.